In this video we're going to be talking about the second generation of Opel's KAD line. And sadly we're also starting with the first model that got discontinued. The Opel Kapitän B, produced from March 1969 to May 1970, was the final model to carry the prestigious Kapitän name. Launched as Opel's part of Big Three, Kapitän, Admiral and Diplomat, it marked the end of an era before being succeeded by solely its more upmarket siblings, which were the Admiral B and the Diplomat B, both made up to 1977. Although still part of the KAD range, the Kapitän B stood as the entry-level executive model, and it was sold alongside the Admiral B and Diplomat B, just like in the KAD A-line series, sharing body shell and chassis, visually looking a lot like the Admiral B, but not so much like the Diplomat B, in contrary to the KAD line A, which actually all of the models looked alike. Offering similar features in more accessible formats, it appealed to buyers seeking luxury without top-tier price, and therefore it was just marketed as the cheapest model, just like in the KAD A line. And the Kapitän B, just like with the rest of the KAD B series, was a bit smaller than its predecessor, which was 4 meters and 95 centimeters in length, now measuring at 4 meters and 91 centimeters in length and 1 meters and 85 centimeters in width, now having a weight of between 1475 to 1495 kilos. The styling carried forward from the KAD A series, but slimmed down for Europe. Dual horizontal headlights and a sleek, unembellished grille marked the Kapitän and Admiral, and the body featured smooth, understated panels with minimal chrome, just like the Kapitän A had less chrome out of the three models. It shared the chassis as said before with the Admiral and the Diplomat, meaning more refined handling thanks to coil springs and a Dion rear axle. And the interior of the Kapitän B reflected its role as a premium yet understated executive sedan. It featured a wide spacious cabin with comfortable seating for 5 instead of 6 persons, which the Kapitän A had, and a large window that offered excellent visibility. The dashboard had a clean horizontal layout with large easy-to-read gauges and a padded top for improved safety, a growing trend in the late 1960s design. Materials used were practical but refined, with vinyl or cloth upholstery depending on the trim level and optional wood grain accents adding a touch of luxury within the car. Higher spec models could be equipped with features such as an automatic transmission, power steering, a heated rear window, a radio, a column or floor mounted gear shifter, and depending on the transmission, that was basically either a 4-speed manual or a 3-speed automatic. The overall impression was one of solid German build quality with restrained elegance, designed to appeal to both professional and private buyers. In contrary to the Kapitän A, the Kapitän B was powered only by 6-cylinder engines, as the V8 engines were available only for the higher Diplomat model in the Kapitän, Admiral and Diplomat B line. These engines were taken out of the Kapitän A but were increased a bit to 130 horsepower for the 1-carburetor 2800S and to 143 horsepower for the 2-carburetor 2800S, basically being comparable to the somewhat 2800 HL or Hoogleistung of the Kapitän A. As said before, the 2800S started at 130 horsepower but had 206 Nm, giving the car a better 0 to 100 time of 11.8 seconds, up to 13.8 seconds for the 3-speed automatic, and the top speed also was increased a bit to 175 km an hour, although it was actually the same top speed for the 3-speed automatic at 170 km an hour. Fuel consumption wise, it improved a bit in contrary to the earlier Kapitän A, but it was still very high even for the time, as the fuel consumption for the 4-speed manual was 13.4 liters per 100 kilometers and for the 3-speed automatic was 14.8 liters per 100 kilometers, which was just very high even for the time. The other engine that was available for the Kapitän was the 2800S with a 2-barrel carburetor, and this had more power as that 143 horsepower, a bit more than the previous HL, and had 223 Nm of torque, giving the car actually a decent 0 to 100 time for the 4-speed manual of 11.2 seconds, and yeah, a somewhat decent top speed of 182 km an hour for the 4-speed manual. However, for the 3-speed, this was not that great at 13 seconds from 0 to 100, and the top speed was actually kind of okay at 180 km an hour. Fuel consumption wise, it was a bit more powerful and therefore also a bit worse with the fuel consumption, as the fuel consumption for the 4-speed manual was 13.5 liters and for the 3-speed automatic was 15 liters. As said before, this optional 2-barrel carburetor boosted the output to 143 horsepower, but for the Admiral and the Diplomat, the Bosch D Jetronic injected versions made 165 horsepower. This was a fuel injection, and sadly this fuel injected version wasn't available for the Kapitän, although it was available since 1969 in the Admiral B and the Diplomat B. So it actually is just chosen for by Opel to not put it in the Kapitän because it was just, I think, a different market and just cheaper overall. As you might have heard me say before, the Kapitän B was fitted with a 4-speed manual, just like in the Kapitän A, and a new 3-speed automatic, replacing the 2-speed Powerglide automatic used in the Kapitän A. This actually was a bit better with the specifications, as the fuel consumption dropped a bit and the 0 to 100 times were improved. Even though Opel did some efforts to make the car more market friendly, sadly for Opel the Kapitän B was a success, as it had been discontinued after just 15 months. In those 15 months, 4,976 units were produced from March 1969 to May 1970. These numbers actually were quite comparable to the Kapitän A, as a little over 24,000 of those were made in 4.5 years. However, in contrary to the other models, this was just a lot less for the Kapitän B. In contrast to the just for example, the Admiral B, 55,000 units and 21,000 units of the Diplomat B were made between 1969 and 1977. Although the Diplomat B wasn't made that much, it was more acceptable to be made 21,000 times because of its higher pricing, therefore giving Opel no choice but to cease the production of the Kapitän B, which simply overlapped too much with the Admiral B, as they also both were powered by the same 6-cylinder engines, just like they were in the Kapitän A and the Admiral A. However, now since that the styling of the exterior of the car also looked alike, Opel decided to cease the production. Although it was made for only 15 months, the Kapitän B still had competition whatsoever, including cars like the Mercedes-Benz W108 or 109 executive sedans, which basically were direct rivals emphasizing luxury and performance. Other European brands like BMW offered similarly sized luxury sedans in that era, and that's also why this could be a very good competitor of the car. It was pretty straightforward, as the Kapitän A was the predecessor made between 1964 and 1968. This used a larger body and shared styling with the Admiral and the Diplomat A, but successor-wise it was a bit different. You see, the successor was not another model made by Opel, as it was part within the KAD-B line. Opel did not continue the Kapitän name and its role was effectively retired. The Admiral and the Diplomat actually somewhat were the successors of the Kapitän, but those continued to stay in production until 1977, being replaced by the smaller Opel Senator, which was made up until the mid-1990s. Thanks for watching this video. In order to be able to upload more videos in the future, please consider becoming a member on my channel or sending a super thanks on this video. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe for more, and check out this playlist with many interesting videos covering various parts of the automotive industry, and I will see you in the next video.